Don't forget to do that. And now I will share my screen and turn it over to Kristin and Stephanie.
Great. Okay.
Gorgeous. Okay.
I know, everyone. This is just so you know, our first slide here is from the Bay of Islands, which is the northern part of the North Island of New Zealand, where we will be beginning our abroad. So, you know, we're not going to go into too much detail about exactly where we're going. We'll be giving you an overview. But these are photos that were taken from the previous abroad, 2018. Kristin's daughter took a lot of these. So,
Steph, do we want to introduce ourselves?
well, I suppose we should do that first,
with
right?
this
Okay.
next slide.
With our next slide. Okay, but the
Good
picture
job.
was so appropriate to see too. So anyway. Okay, that's me on the top. I am with the mass comm department. So in case you can't, in case it looks so different, I do visual media in the mass comm department. And this is my 4th year here. And I lived and worked in New Zealand for over 20 years in the advertising and film business there, which was really, really, really fun and really great. So I just look forward to bringing you guys down there too and seeing a bit of what I got to see and experiencing. We'll go into all that. So Kristin?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're super excited about this trip. For me, I'm super excited about it because I've been learning so much about intercultural communication and competence. And New Zealand is one of the best representations of bicultural and multiculturalism. And so we're going to be telling the story of multiculturalism as seen through the lens of New Zealand, which is gorgeous. And there's just some really cool features there that we're gonna look at and learn about. So we're really excited.
And I already introduced myself, so
Yeah.
I'm just here to support.
Yay.
Great support that she is. Yeah. Okay, so courses. Do you want me to go through this, Kristin, or did you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, we know, so just so you guys know, the spring before our summer trip is spring of 22, and there's a 3 semester hour course that we're going to be teaching. And it's going to involve learning some of the Maori language. It's going to like get us prepped for doing hiking and backpacking. We're going to be learning more about our own culture so that we know how to use that information and relate to people of other cultures. And we're going to be having you learn how to use the equipment, the technology, things like that, so that you can capture these amazing images and ultimately we'll have the story to tell when we get back. And Stephanie can talk a little bit more about that piece of it. It is visual storytelling. So all of that is going to happen spring, just like getting us acquainted and figuring out what we're going to be doing and learning more about the Maori people. When we're in country, we've got the multi-platform storytelling class, and we've got journaling and backpacking, mostly hiking, but we are going to do a multi-day backpacking trip. So this is not for the faint of heart. I hope y'all love to be outdoors because it's going to be a lot of outdoor time. And then there's a re-entry seminar, as with all abroads, which will be in the fall when we come back.
Yeah, so it is visual storytelling is our big part of it, and multi-platform. So we not only will be taking a lot of photographs, doing interviews, making little videos, but we will be putting those on social media or across media platforms. So we'll get all up to speed on how that's going to be done, but then that'll be very much a part of the storytelling that's done down there. So, and really, the experience, you know, documenting the experience. So it's not only getting that visual media, it's the journaling that's going to really help create some of your visual media, you know, that you really think about stuff. And this is where you script ideas and things like that. So it will, and again, lots of experience, but then this reflection and capturing so much of that too. So, and I know a lot of you are, you know, our visual media people, all of you are really. So we're very excited about that. This is going to be such a strong part of it, of you guys capturing what you see and what you feel and how you see it. So,
Oh yeah, we were gonna remind everybody that that is the skills that you're going to be learning more about and practicing and becoming good at on this abroad are skills that employers love. Like there just isn't a way to graduate from college where you don't have to know something about graphic design and visual media and things like that. It's just such a part of our world, and you guys know that more than we do with all the things you do, like iMovie and things like you do already on your phone. So it's going to leap to a different level, but it's going to be really valuable skills to learn. So
yeah, and it is that interpersonal, not amongst yourselves, but then with the New Zealand people, the Kiwis, as we call them, the Maoris, but yeah, the blanket name is Kiwis really for New Zealand people. So, yeah. Okay, so just a brief overview of our, it's 5 weeks. So which is a nice time, if we do travel a distance, everyone gets always kind of freaked out, like it's so far away, oh my goodness. But the really cool thing about flying there is you usually get in, if we fly from LA, we can fly from Chicago. I'm not sure exactly which area, but those are all direct flights. And you get on usually in the evening and you get to sleep, and it's not as bad as you think. And the time difference, even though it's a day, but you really only have about between 3 or a 5 hour time difference. So acclimation should not be that difficult if you can get a little bit of sleep in there. But so you get down there, and we are going to be, New Zealand is the North Island and South Island. So they're kind of long and narrow. So the top of the north is much a warmer climate, almost tropical, not quite, probably kind of California tropical. And then as we go down, we get down into the South Island all the way to the bottom, you're almost near the Antarctic, where it's much, much colder. Because we're only going 5 weeks, not a full semester, we want to stick just with the North Island. And that's a lot to see, and it's a very rich culture. But you guys, because it's summer, it's winter down there, we got to remember that. But because it's your summer break, you guys can always stay on longer if you want to afterwards. But we are focusing in the North Island, and the experience there is I want to just do an overview. I don't want to get into too much detail, but it's about staying on a marae, especially when we first arrive, to really be introduced to the culture. And then also when we leave, we go back to that marae as kind of a farewell, a kind of recap and farewell of our experience. So again, we're up there. We fly into Auckland. It's about a 3-hour drive up to the North Island, up to the north part of the North Island. So we stay on a marae there for about a week. We'll probably do some of our hiking around there. And then we just work our way down. We stop in Auckland for a little bit, and then we go to Rotorua. And again, Maori experience, but also very much nature. We're going to, the Maori people have made a river and a forest area, given those areas peoplehood, which is or personhood, which is something that we want to experience and talk about with the Maori people. Just really, really wonderful things that we are going to learn about the culture. So not only the bicultural aspect of New Zealand, but also that wonderful part of how New Zealanders use the land and kind of feel, connected to the land. So when we get down again through the North Island, then we end up in Wellington, which is the capital, and that's the bottom of the North Island. To Papa Museum, we get to see the government. They do have an amazing leader there, Jacinda Ardern, who's I'm sure you've all heard about. She's pretty amazing. I don't know that we'll meet her or anything, but we can go to the government building, and who knows? New Zealand's a small place. We could maybe even meet the Prime Minister. But and then Park Road Post, that's the famous Peter Jackson film place where, Lord of the Rings and many great films have been made. So we can tour that facility down there. So there'll be a bit of that. And the cities will probably see a little bit of how the film industry works. And so there's going to be a lot to see. Because again, the cool thing about these long, narrow islands is that the terrain changes so quickly. So you go from kind of tropical to, it'll probably be kind of rainy sometimes because it's winter, but it's an island. So it'll rain in the morning, then we'll get sunshine. And so really wonderful for photography and things like that. So I think everyone will really enjoy that. And when we go down, there's a volcano in the middle of the North Island. I think it's pretty safe. It's not active. There is an active one out in the ocean, White Island, you may have heard about, but generally that's kind of a very brief, experience, or description of our experience. So, and it's 5 full weeks. So I don't know if Kristin, did you want to add anything to that?
No, you covered it. That's a lovely thing. Yeah, and so we are stressing that we need people who are very open-minded and curious about understanding your own culture and other people's culture. We want you to feel like you can make those, recognize differences and commonalities and make those bridges and be able to tell the story in the multicultural landscape that New Zealand is. We want you to be excited about being outdoors and exploring and just seeing different kinds of people and landscape. It's just so gorgeous. We will be staying on a marae. We will be staying probably in non-traditional type, this isn't like we're going to 4 or 5-star hotel kinds of accommodations. So just so you're aware, we will be out backpacking. So we'll be, living in a tent for a couple nights here and there. And this is about being part of a group. So we hope that everyone feels comfortable thinking selflessly, putting the group first, and being inclusive of others. That's an important part of this, working together, having a growth mindset as opposed to static mindset. We'll talk about that more when it's time. And then just be aware that this is going to be challenging both physically, mentally, and spiritually. So this picture on this slide is, well, Steph, you tell them what that is, what it means.
All this noise in the background, I had to mute. So this is really beautiful. This is the Maori Greeting. You know how we kind of handshake is kind of the American way of doing things. This really wonderful thing where you touch noses and press your forehead together. And so it's, as you can, that's really getting into our personal space, isn't it? But it's really touching. And I think this photo just captures it so well. And this is a Principia student on the right. And yeah, when you enter into a marae, you're almost always greeted with this hangi, it's called. And yeah, it's really beautiful. I remember the first time I experienced it was really, really special. And we will have these just wonderful experiences on the marae with the land, with the people, in all walks of life, Maori people, but also people in the film industry, people, just people. So wonderful, just like you. So it would be wonderful for us to share, the beauty that all of you will bring to New Zealand, and then the beauty that we'll receive. So it's going to be really exciting, really meaningful.
So this is just the North Island, not both. As you can tell, you can see how Auckland is kind of more north, and we'll be going even all the way up to that tippy top of the North Island, and then leaving from the very bottom of the North Island in Wellington. So we're covering the whole place, and then you can just see what we've kind of touched on already, those items on about food and lodging and hiking outdoors, and we will have a packing list for you.
Yeah, and weather is going to be interesting because it's like I said, it's winter. The way they break it up, like June 1 is the beginning of your winter months, June, July, August. But it's kind of like a Portland winter, I'd say. It's more, kind of wet, can be wet and cold. But like I said, this rain, usually you'll get some rain and it'll clear up. And so each day we almost always get sunshine. I did a lot of filming down there, and we rarely called a weather day because the weather would always turn nice at some point. So, but we will, the packing list will have some warm clothes and some rain jackets in it. So
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if we're out hiking and backpacking, you don't want it to be 85, 90 degrees. That's just too hot.
exactly. It's
It's going to
too
be the
hot.
perfect temperature. So,
And sunscreen, though. The one important thing to know about New Zealand is that the ozone layer is kind of not very thick, so you sunburn really easily. So even in winter, so we will be forcing the sunscreen on you guys. So do sunscreen checks. Okay, so Kristin, I would read this out. I think this is.
and yeah, so we just again want to emphasize that this is a very, very much a group effort, of being together and creating things and learning things together and sharing. So we want to ensure people are comfortable with that situation, that you know, a group member needs to be open-minded, willing to contribute in tangible ways. They need to have the desire to deepen their understanding of what it means to be interculturally competent. And they need to have the capability to learn about and work with different types of media. So, as Stephanie said, it's multi-platform. So you learn how to use a camera, you learn how to use a still camera, video camera, different types of audio, and the journaling and written media is also a big part of it.
And then really what we do with this, that it is uploaded to Instagram or, our web page, whatever these different platforms that we decide to put it on. And we'll probably be working with the marketing department to, have access to these platforms. So it'll be really fun. We're going to be like a little creative production team that's going on and having these experiences and getting media out to the world and all our friends back home. So be good. And this is a big one, the metaphysical aspect of it. So.
Yeah, and so one of the things Stephanie shared with me that I thought was really cool is that the Maori have a very deep connection to the land and spirit. And we just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that there is a metaphysical, a spiritual aspect to this that we feel really privileged to be able to be a part of. To share Christian Science, to share their culture, and that spiritual connection. And so we can talk more about that, but we just wanted to make sure everybody feels comfortable that we know this is an open spiritual faith practice kind of take on what this is going to be, but we're also excited that we are a community of people who are affiliated with Christian Science, whatever level you are, but there's this metaphysical aspect and connecting with the Maori that through that spiritual place that we think is a really, really cool component to this. Oh, Allison, it's all you now.
Okay.
Allison's turn.
So now you guys heard all like the fun, beautiful, wonderful things about New Zealand, and I get to give you more of the nuts and bolts of what does it mean
bring it back down
to apply for this program and things to be thinking about. So first of all, you need a passport to travel abroad. And if you're even at all remotely considering this program, I would apply for your passport now. They're in a little bit of a backlog of processing passports, and so it's really important to make sure that you have a valid passport. And so it needs to be valid from 6 months after you return to the US. And so for this program ending in June 2022, it would need to be valid through probably at least January 2023. And if you think you're going to stay longer, maybe even a little past that. Currently, visas aren't required for US citizens, but if any international students are interested in doing this program, we'll work with you to figure out all the needs for visas and getting the right paperwork and stuff like that. The cost of the program is probably a big question that everyone has. So this is a 5 semester hour, 5-week program during the summer. So you would pay a per semester hour cost, which for the 21-22 school year is $999 per semester hour. So total for this program is $49.95. And then we calculate $300 a week for room and board. So that's $1,500. And then you pay a $150 fee. And then for airfare, you're responsible for paying that. And the abroad office guarantees like that you would only have to pay up to $1,500. Flights to New Zealand can be more expensive than that, but to try and help keep costs reasonable for students, that's our guarantee, is that if it costs more than $1,500, that we would help you cover whatever the cost is over that. And so for financial aid, it applies to the tuition part of the program because it is a break program and not during the normal academic year. But there are other ways that you can get financial support, like from the Albert Baker Fund, or you could do fundraising or things like that. The abroad office has a list of ideas that if you think that you would need help financially to support applying for this program or participating in this program, we are happy to help you think through those different things. The other part of it is that for students who are accepted on this program, and this goes for any study abroad program, is that there's certain information that we collect from every participant just to make sure that we can appropriately accommodate any needs that people might have. And so that's really related to health needs. And so the world right now with COVID and everything that's happening, a lot of countries, they haven't started to require being vaccinated, but we're kind of in this weird spot where we don't know if other countries will start requiring it as it becomes more available. And so right now, the abroad office is part of what the institution promises as far as the commitment to treatment choice. So because no other government or state is requiring vaccinations, Principia is not requiring vaccinations. But if for some reason New Zealand started to say like you're only allowed to come here if you're vaccinated, then we would say like a condition of participating in this program would be that you are also vaccinated. And whether you're vaccinated or not, we would collect that information just because there's so many logistics connected to right now to knowing that. And so just wanting you all to know ahead of time that that is information that we collect and keep private on our end of things. So the other question you guys might be asking is, I know that some of you are applying as postgrads, and this isn't on the list, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew kind of how it works with the application process. So because of all the COVID things, the administration has given us permission to allow postgraduate students to participate on programs through summer 2023, as long as they fit within your academic graduation year. So if you guys are graduating in May of 2022, you can still participate on this program. So you would do the 3-semester-hour country studies course and then do the summer program. You wouldn't be required to do the fall re-entry course, though we would strongly encourage you to participate and be involved in some of those re-entry elements, particularly the community presentation and sharing your multi-platform visual storytelling projects. But with that, applications are now open online. They are not due until week 4 of fall semester, so you have all summer to work on your essay questions and fill in all the information that is required. Once I stop sharing and we start answering questions, I'll put a link in the chat that is the info sheet. So it has a lot of the information that was included in this presentation, but then it will have the link to the application and it has the essay questions on there so you can think about them ahead of time before you get to the form and start filling it out. But part of that is that you'll need to meet with your RC and meet with your academic advisor just to talk about the different elements of the program and to make sure, particularly with your academic advisor, that the courses offered fit into your academic plan and that it fits with your progress towards graduation and things like that. So applications are due week 4. Do not wait till the last minute. You have a lot of time. Once applications are turned in, you'll do interviews with Kristin, Stephanie, and most likely the program RC when we choose that person. And so you'll do interviews for a couple weeks, and then by the Friday of week 8 during fall semester, we will have selected the program. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and feel free to turn on your camera so we can see all your wonderful faces. And I'm gonna in the chat share the link to the info sheet so that you guys all have that. But yeah, now is time for any questions you guys have.
I have a question. So if you're going to be a senior and you're graduating that semester, does the financial aid still apply?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jackson. And so what the financial aid office has told the study abroad office, and we're also in a weird place because we don't have a financial aid director right now, but we have in documents like the promise that because of all the COVID and things and like the wanting to give postgrads the opportunity for these programs, from my understanding is that like your financial aid would be extended to cover this program. It'd be the same for anybody else where it's like the percentage that you get that covers tuition would be the same percentage that's applied to the tuition for this program.
We'll also learn how to fly a drone, just so you know.
Ooh.
Some of you know how to do a drone, but we do want to get some nice drone footage going too.
Has anybody been to New Zealand before, or does anybody want to share why they're interested in New Zealand?
The All Blacks, right? Everyone's rugby fans here. I'll have to see if it's the season. It'd be so fun to go to a rugby game. We could even maybe just have a local team game, but they're really fun.
Mark, I saw you unmute.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Then we'll go to you, Grace.
I was just gonna ask about like transporting personal equipment, like cameras and stuff, because I've never done that before. Would you guys walk us through that at some point if we get accepted?
Sorry. Yeah, definitely will. It'll be part of the packing of, I mean, because people, in fact, yeah, like you might want to bring your own gear, which would be really great, but we'll probably have some gear too, some cameras that we loan out as well. And yeah, that becomes just a part of the, how you pack and the camera cases that you use. And like when I always travel with the camera, that's what you always carry it on board. Tripods and things like that, we won't, we'll put those in the luggage. But yeah, your gear and your lenses, especially if it's your own, you should have a really good backpack that kind of keeps that safe and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll definitely be, because that's going to be very important to us, right? We don't want our gear to fail there. However, they do have places where we can get it fixed and things we can do. So it's not the end of the world, but we don't want you to drop it in the ocean or anything like that. So, yeah. Grace?
I have a question about, I have a question about drones. So if we plan to bring our own, are there any like permits or certifications or whatever that we need to get prior to going?
Yeah, we will have to, that's things I have to find out still, you know. I don't want, you know, we might just really have one person that's doing drone footage kind of thing. I understand. I mean, we'll have to see if people do, you know, these small drones that you want to bring yourself, by all means, because footage is just so amazing. I know the drone footage is incredible, but we will check that out. You know, there might be, obviously not near any airports, but I think most of our stuff is going to be quite rural. We'll check with, you know, the Maori community too. You know, sometimes they have certain sacred things or things that aren't, even with photographing and things like that. Chris and I are going to check this out, like how comfortable they all are in this kind of, you know, photography. But you know, I worked on commercials and we were always photographing them too for different purposes. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, but certain things we really want to find out, because drones now are just becoming, they're like our second camera, aren't they? Because we're so used to getting that amazing visual from up above, which is just so stunning. So it's kind of neat that people are into it. So, but we will just find out legally how we can do it. And we don't want to get them, you know, lost, hooked up in trees and things like that too, which, you know, that's always going to be a risk sometimes with gusts of wind and things. So, but I'm sure you'll know how to handle it, so that won't happen.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. It was really fun to hear about everything that we're going to be doing. And I wanted to also say that I appreciated how you emphasized a commitment to metaphysics, but that it was okay no matter where you were on that scale of Christian Science. And I wanted to know a little bit more about that spiritual connection to the land that the Maori culture has. If you have just like a moment to talk about it, that's just so interesting to me.
Yeah, and it's something I want to research a bit more too. You know, I just knew from being there and the kind of work I did, and this really kind of interesting, like the conversations I had when you were talking years ago now, and it was more. It was before I was even a Christian Scientist, but it was really interesting to talk to them about, because a lot of their culture is based in myth and mythology, but they had, when the British came and stuff, they brought a lot of the Christian religion. And what they found is that the meshing of the Christian religion and their mythology was very strong. So you get this wonderful kind of mix of Christianity and kind of, not paganism more so, but more mythology. But I think what takes it even further now is their use of giving the river and the forest personhood. You know, this becomes very the significance and importance of the land as one, you know, kind of more like a Mother Earth kind of thing too. So yeah, it's gonna, and I think it'll be a kind of cross enrichment, you know, where well, you know, everyone's understanding of deep spiritual metaphysical things usually has a very strong commonality. So I think that'll be part of our discovery and your individual discovery with what's happening with this quite amazing culture that is, you know, it's biculturalism too. So it's Maori, but it's also it's Pakeha is what the white New Zealanders are called, more like the British, Irish, Scottish descent, because it is a commonwealth. So it's very connected with Britain. You know, the Queen came down to visit, you know, there's all sorts of, you know, I think Harry and Meghan were down there before they stopped doing that stuff. So, you know, it's got a really neat kind of British influence too. So, you know, we're going to see both those cultures going hand in hand, but I think we are emphasizing the kind of grassroots or the real, you know, the strength of the Maori, because one of the reasons it's such a strong bicultural country is because the Maori were warrior tribes, and there's many tribes throughout New Zealand, but they were warriors. So the British came in and they're like, wait a minute, you know, these guys are really tough. They weren't like the Aboriginals who were more nomadic and could easily be destroyed essentially. So the Maoris were pretty tough, and they did the Treaty of Waitangi, which made the British could borrow the land or use the land for 100 years, and then they had to give it back. And the New Zealand the government did that in 1990, when I was down there in 1990, and this was being made into the whole process of giving fishing rights and land back to the Maori. So the history is fascinating. But again, we are going to be looking at both cultures, but we're going to know a lot about Maori, I think, by the end. So.
That's so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course, good question. Thank you.
Any other questions out there? I know this is a busy time of the semester and you guys all have papers and projects and things you're working on. So we don't want to take up your whole Thursday evening, but definitely want to answer any other questions you guys have about this program.
I missed most of the what's happening, so I think I'll ask my questions after, just so that I don't do any repeats and no one has to go through that.
Yeah, and we recorded it too, so we can send you the recording. You can go back to the pieces that you missed.
I'm just curious, like, if you guys know the temperatures that it's going to be in the winter, because I know it'll be winter time there.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about it getting too cold, but I just want to know, like, is it going to be like 30 degrees, 20 degrees while we're hiking, or?
Not freezing, so it usually is not freezing. Occasionally you might get a frost, but that's more in July. So what it is a wet cold, which isn't so nice. So you guys, if you're used to Seattle or Portland, that kind of thing. So, we'll want to try to stay dry, which will be a big thing. But I was always, and I would go out on film shoots a lot too, where you just be covered, you do layers, so you do your layer thing. And, but you don't have to worry, we're not gonna worry about frostbite. We're not gonna be climbing any mountains. So, it's just gonna be a matter of staying dry, using good wool socks, and hiking boots. So we're gonna get a good, and up in the north, when we're up north, we might have some really lovely days where you guys are swimming. So let's hope for that we can get some. You never know. They had a really lovely mild winter this past winter. So
And it's nothing we're not used to.
Because they didn't have COVID, so they were all out without masks playing around, so they had, they enjoyed it.
We did talk about weather, and we've looked into it. Well, Stephanie's lived there, but I've been looking a lot into the weather aspect, because I don't want to go there and freeze, like I want to go there and be able to be outside and enjoy it. And so from what I can tell, because we're going to be in the north, yes, there's going to be rain, but it's going to be like 50s, 60s, and then potentially 40s and 50s at night. So average, that's what I'm expecting based on what I've looked at. Does that sound reasonable?
It's nice, isn't it? It's kind of, I personally prefer like to be out hiking and walking in that kind of weather. So I know you guys will handle it.
Is there a possibility to go bungee jumping?
Probably on your own afterwards if you want. I mean, the big bungee jumping is down in the South Island, but they also, now when I was there, and I don't know if any of you would want to do this, it looked really crazy to me, but in Auckland, because New Zealand's known for bungee jumping, so in Auckland they had a huge crane. You'd bungee but down onto the cement, it's like you'd be doing it on the land, and ideally, I mean, if I was doing it, I would do it over water like they have in the South Island. But there are places, I don't know if they still have it there in Auckland, but there are other places. There might be some place in the North Island where you can bungee. I'm sure there is, actually. I'm sure there's because they usually like to do it bridges over the river, so you can dip your toes in when you're bouncing back and forth. So
I will say that we're not building that into the curriculum.
Yeah.
But there will be a couple opportunities for free time, free days where you'll get to choose whatever activity. I know on the last abroad, there are people who did skydiving. They went to escape room. They did you're going to have your choices for how to spend your money and your time.
I will say that during the program, though, you will not, there are certain things you will not be allowed to do, among them skydiving and bungee jumping. You would have to do those outside of a Principia program.
Yeah. when it's okay. When
Yeah.
it, yeah, it must have been like when the program ended and I know they were there like an extra week on their own and they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
So
Our insurance doesn't cover that.
good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's, yeah. So we might get on, there in Auckland, there's a lot of different films being shot and things like that. So we might visit a film set, still things we're trying to plan out, but could be some neat things to do.
Question about packing and stuff. Like since we're gonna go backpacking, should we pack like we're gonna go backpacking, or are they gonna be like day trips where we like leave all of our clothes somewhere and then just pack a bag and go?
Kind of all those options, we're still finalizing exactly how we do it. So,
Yeah.
I kind of like yeah, we are working that out. And when we do our prep trip, we're going to decide, because we are 5 weeks. So, very easily we could do day trips, which are really fun. But yeah, then we have to do, if it's going to be a 3-day thing, for a number of the hikes, of course, there's huts you can stay in and things, and it's really what we carry and that kind of stuff. So that's all the logistics that we have to work out yet. So it's hard to answer exactly, but yes, we'll do either or both. So
Yeah. And can we like bring our own tents and stuff, or is that still like in the air?
So my understanding is that if possible, we're going to do a backpacking trip where we would have people who are providing tents and backpacks. You could get a backpack, borrow a backpack and borrow a tent. Like, unless you have your own and you love your own and that's what you want to use to pack and bring with you. So we're just looking at different options. And I know when they went in the spring of 2018, they actually did have a company that provided backpacks and tents. And so I know that's possible. We just haven't like settled on what it's going to look like. And I know that if you have one that you love, if you have your own backpack, that could be your suitcase and what you pack and bring with you. But it's not going to, if you don't have one, that won't stop you from participating in the program, because we'll make sure everybody is outfitted.
I have to leave now.
that
But I will email some questions to you, Stephanie.
Okay, no problem. Or just, give me a call, email, whatever you want to do. We'll talk. And yeah. And also you want to think afterwards, Jackson, if you're going to, you might decide that you're going to stay. I mean, South Island might be a bit cold to be out on a tent, because again, you're getting colder as you go further south. But again, you guys, we're going to be finishing the end of June. If you want to stay a few more weeks, go for it. Again, especially if you like to ski, that's going to be ski season down in the South Island. And in the North Island too, Ruapeu is a mountain that has skiing. The ideal skiing is kind of the Alps down in the South Island though. So if you guys are big skiers, that's something to think about post our project. But yeah. So.
Okay, well, Garrett's just been chatting me privately, and there's been a sad announcement that went out on the print app apparently just now, about a student. And so I think we'll just wrap up now and just say that we're sending all of you love. And if you have any questions or need anything, please feel free to reach out to me or Stephanie or Kristin.
Thank you all for being here. Lovely to see everyone. And take care.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much.